The topic of today's video is a 21% increase and the startling reality about your finances and wallet. Let's dive in and go over all the specifics. I am aware that we have lately received some rather significant reports, and this could provide additional insight into why almost nobody has money at the moment, given the bulk of people's financial circumstances have not been great over the past several years. Take a look at your own finances from the most recent call. They have been good, poor, or middle right for the past 3 years or so. I believe that the most of us are definitely leaning toward the terrible, or if we're lucky, the medium category. However, this 21% increase that I want to discuss with you in this video may I'd like to provide some clarification on this and break down the specifics based on the recently disclosed reports. I'll also discuss the implications for us moving ahead and the direction that this is truly heading in over the next weeks and months here for all of us around the nation. So you ready? Let's get started and go over the specifics, but before we do, I would really appreciate it if you could do the following. If you haven't already, would you don't forget to hit the subscribe button located directly below the video to become a member of the channel. I'm always here for you, no matter what. Whether I'm researching, keeping an eye on the news, fighting for you, or breaking it all down into these little videos, there's a lot going on right now. This year has been really busy so far, and it's realistic to assume that the following several years will be equally busy. This year alone will be quite busy, with a lot of information coming out. As always, I'm here to help. I want to support you through this time, no matter what. So once again, thank you so much for being here. Please feel free to subscribe below. There's a large subscribe button there. Thank you so much. And let's speak the specifics of this 21%. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, there have been a number of new studies out. I want to go over the specifics of what this implies because it affects everyone, regardless of income level. Low income, fixed income, and medium income. High income is irrelevant because this is affecting everyone, even those with higher incomes. In fact, it's affecting those with higher incomes quite quickly. It's actually quite fascinating to note that those making 6 figures a year, or more than $100,000, are being affected at some of the highest levels in our nation's history, which is crazy, considering that, statistically speaking, most people believe that if they make $100,000, they've succeeded and are wealthy, but that's not actually the case. That is not the case at all anymore. So once more, this is not dedicated solely to those folks. I'm just stating that, according to reports and statistics, it's evident that these people are currently experiencing extreme financial hardship, which is strange because we're all kind of put something like this $100,000 figure up on this enormous pedestal and say, that's the income level, right? If you got that income, you've made it. But let me explain what's really happening. As indicated by the CPI report, which is released once a month, we received the most current inflation figures a few weeks ago. However, as we go through the reporting on this, it is truly astounding to look at. You know the amount since I've mentioned it a few times in this video? 21%. That's crazy. Now let's talk about the statistical aspect of this. How much do you believe food costs have increased in the previous 3 years alone? And historically, food prices have increased by roughly 2% annually overall. In the last 3 years, however, food prices have increased by an average of 21% overall, which is crazy. Now, here's the part that basically indicates that we're purchasing significantly less. In addition, this is what we're actually factoring in when we raise prices. Lastly, I want to emphasize that shrinkflation is not included in this. As you may recall, this is another issue, and perhaps 3 years ago we received, 10 or so boxes, sir, once more. I'm just making this up. 3 years ago, we would have paid $4 for a 10-ounce box of cereal. Today, you might pay $2 less for an 8-ounce box of cereal, a lower quantity. Similar. In any case, that's typical shrinkflation. We've been dealing with that as well, and have been seeing it out there. And it's not taken into account in this 21%. Prices go up, quantity goes down, or weight of things goes down. Thus, if we truly compared apples to apples in this case, and examined actual costs per ounce, or more accurately, per package size, That figure of 21% is actually probably much more than that as well, which is crazy. Now consider this in light of the most recent inflation, information that we obtained a few weeks ago. What we discovered in this report is that, just last month, egg prices increased by 4.6%. This is a significant increase in the price of eggs alone, since, as you may recall, they are supposed to be inexpensive. They are intended to be, well, you know what I mean, like a really affordable option. For about $1 or $1.50, we can purchase a large quantity of eggs and have enough food for several days, so it's not the issue anymore, regretfully, as these are rising. But there is a bright side. Allow me to point it out quickly. The research also revealed that in only the past month, cereal apples and tomatoes decreased, which is amazing given how many of us survive on cereal apples and tomatoes. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but cereal and apples are not exactly inexpensive foods. They're kind of pricey. Though I'm not sure about tomatoes and don't regularly check costs, I'm only stating that I am aware of cereal and apples are not inexpensive foods at all. They are normally very expensive. However, the price of those items did slightly decrease. So happily, we are now receiving a discount on tomatoes and cereal as well as apples. You're right, I just wanted to quickly put it out there. However, I also wanted to draw your attention to this, because, as I mentioned earlier, this is the issue that we're all dealing with, and regrettably, this is one of those circumstances and one of those items that we all purchase every single month. In addition, we saw that the costs of a number of other goods had increased significantly, such as the cost of housing and a 0.5% increase in rent. 0.5510 of 1%, 0.5%, which is also a significant increase month over month. By the way, year over year, rentals have increased by 5.7%. Here's something incredibly crazy that I want to share with you right away. This number. Obtain auto insurance costs as in insurance premiums for automobiles. And guess how much those have increased in the last year alone? I'm not talking about 3 years. This is absurd, and I can genuinely relate a personal incident. If you would want, I can give you my personal story and share this with you. This happened about a month ago, and in the past year, insurance prices have increased by over 22%. That's right, 22%. On insurance premiums. However, I'm not surprised. So allow me to briefly share a personal tale with you about this. So, let's talk about Corey's car. As many of you in the community know, I'm blind, so I don't drive. You don't want me to drive, so please believe me. Drive, but anyhow, Corey's car. All right, so she has a car, but it's an older car. Nothing particularly exceptional. And the insurance was usually around $500. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how many, but it's probably 500 or so. Tiny bit for the entire year, which isn't too horrible and is actually rather affordable. However, after receiving the insurance statement for the upcoming year, we saw that the $898 renewal is due, which isn't appropriate. All right, insurance premiums don't just go up $400 in a year without any explanation. So when I phoned the agent, I said, "Hey, this isn't right. We need to shop around. $898 isn't going to cut it right." Doing this is crazy. The renewal fee went up by $400 in just a year, she says. We'll shop around for whatever. A few days later, I receive a call from her saying, "This is exactly what it is. Now we can't find a competitor that is cheaper." That's absurd, right? Well, this is my personal experience, which occurred just a few weeks ago. We received a letter about renewal, and we looked everywhere. But we were unable to find anything less expensive. We could reduce coverage and other things like that. But then you're just kind of faking the numbers. So, once more, this is the crazy situation in which everyone is asking more right now for everything. So it makes sense why everyone's financial conditions are incredibly awful. Incredibly awful, right? Another thing very quickly, let's get back to that $100,000 annual income level. Remember, that was the pinnacle of money, right? Everyone wanted to have $100,000, but that's not actually the case today. Here's what the reports say. Continue demonstrating that 45% of those making 6 figures annually live paycheck to paycheck, which is regrettable, awful, and intolerable at this moment for all individuals. But here's the thing. Do they truly need their fancy, luxurious cars to drive around in? No. They could definitely downsize those. Do they really need to live in the greatest house on the block? No, they could definitely downsize it too. Do they really need to buy the pricey purses, shoes, and clothes?